Welcome to the first episode of the year of Freedom from Fire for this academic year. As always, we'll take a look inside the Philadelphia Fire Department and how we operate. Today, we're talking with Fire Commissioner Jeffrey Thompson. He's been with the PFD for 35 years and rose through the ranks before being chosen for this role in June of 2024. That's coming up next on Freedom from Fire. Stay with us. Hello, and welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Lieutenant Lisa Desamore. I've been with the PFD for nearly 20 years. I actually celebrate my anniversary in January of 2025, and I am currently stationed in our department's planning unit. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information, and we also introduce you to our local safety partners and department leaders. Today, I am very honored to welcome our first guest of the season, Fire Commissioner Jeffrey Thompson. Commissioner Thompson, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are absolutely welcome. And this is pretty cool because you and I work in the same building down at headquarters. So the interview is going to tell me some things that I did not already know about you. So first, tell me about yourself and your family.
Okay, I am the father of two beautiful daughters, and I'm very excited to say that both of my daughters are physicians.
Awesome.
Yes.
That is awesome. Okay, two doctors in the family, so
Yes.
you are well taken care of. Awesome. What part of Philly are you from?
I grew up in Germantown, not too far from LaSalle, in fact, and I currently reside in Chestnut Hill.
Very nice area of the city. When did you know you wanted to be a firefighter?
Very early in my life. My father was a firefighter for the city for 25 years. So I would see my father in his uniform, and I knew as a kid that I wanted to be a firefighter. I would literally go to the library and take out books on firefighting. So from the time I was a very young kid, I knew I wanted to be a firefighter.
That's awesome. I did not know your dad was on the department. That's really awesome. Tell us when you applied and joined the PFD. What was the process like back then?
It was much different than it is today,
I'm
as you
sure.
could imagine. And I remember my best friend and I, we filled out an interest card at City Hall. And what they would do, they would notify you when they were given the exam for firefighter.
Okay.
So I got the notification, I took the exam. It was at a local high school where you had to sit down in the classroom with a bunch of other candidates and take a written test.
Okay.
Which is much different than the way the process is done today.
Oh, absolutely. But very similar to my process when I came on 20 years ago. So there wasn't a whole lot of change in between that time. But obviously, we know now technology has taken the forefront.
Very much so.
So did you ever think at that early stage of your career that you would be fire commissioner?
Absolutely not. I remember very vividly being in the fire academy. I had a great time, and then once I became a firefighter in the field, just really enjoyed the work, the camaraderie, and never thought for a minute that I would one day be the fire commissioner.
Okay, so did you have that typical firehouse mentality where it's like boots on the ground, like this is it, I want to just stay a firefighter, and I shouldn't say just, because obviously we need firefighters, you know, they are the rock of the department, but did you ever have desire initially to even go up in the ranks?
Not at all, because as you stated, my friends and I, we worked together for quite a few years. So we formed friendships that extended past the firehouse. We would hang out together after work. Never had any desire to become an officer. I had 14 years on the job when I became a lieutenant. And the biggest motivating thing for me was there was a battalion chief who one day said to us, hey, you guys have been doing this for a while. You have a lot of knowledge, and you owe it to the department to share that by taking some of these leadership roles. And that really resonated with me, and that's when I decided to study and become an officer.
Okay, another piece of information that I did not know. What were some of your formative moments that you remember from your first few years in the department?
So when I had 2 years on the job, I got a phone call approximately 5 o'clock one morning. It was before my first day work. And I was told there was a major fire and I needed to report for duty. And I was excited, thinking like, hey, this is what this job is about. Right. Jumped into my car, I turned on the radio, KYW, and I heard that there was a major fire and that there were 3 firefighters that had died. That was the Meridian fire. So at that moment, I knew that firefighting was a deadly serious occupation, and that really shook me to the core, and it made me really take the job much more seriously. And then in addition to that, just the camaraderie that was shown in the wake of that, people really came together, and seeing that camaraderie, those friendships really helped me with my career.
It does. I think there are moments in anyone's career as it relates to the PFD and the fire department. You get those moments where you it brings you back home because you share those, moments with folks that you've bonded with, in the fire service. It's something that is easy to explain to you because you understand the culture of the department. Sometimes it's a bit difficult explaining it to others who are not familiar with the culture, but I think it's one of those things where it's just, if you can explain it, you get to the core of people and they start to recognize what that truly means.
I think one of the most amazing things about people who do this work, this public safety work, is that even in the wake of such tragedies, everyone comes back to work the next day. Mm-hmm. And that truly is, living our motto, which is dedication and service.
It absolutely is. So we touched on this a few moments ago. When did you decide you wanted to actually move up? Like, what was the moment that you said, you know what, I'm going to start studying?
Yeah, it was when the battalion chief expressed to us that we owed something back.
Okay.
He said, you guys have been doing this, and you've acquired a lot of knowledge and skill, and you owe that to make the department better, to share that. And that's when I started studying. The first promotional exam that I took, I got left number 3. And so that motivated me in a major way. And so the next exam I got promoted, and that was at my 14-year mark. Okay. And from that point on, every exam that I took, I was able to successfully pass the first time out.
Good. It's nothing like a setback or someone telling you can't do something that just motivates you even more.
When I got left number 3 on that list, I was very highly motivated because that wasn't going to happen again. So that was a major motivator.
What kinds, and this is a really cool question, I'm interested in the answer very much so. What kinds of changes have you seen in this department since you've joined? Technology, attitudes, safety?
That's a great question, and I'm going to start off with the safety part of it, because when I was a much younger firefighter, it was a badge of honor to walk around with soot on your face, dirty helmets, dirty running gear. And we've learned that that is absolutely not a good thing to do because of the carcinogens and things of that nature. So we were able to change the culture where people understand the importance of keeping your gear clean, keeping yourself clean. So that was a big change in culture that I saw. But probably the biggest change I've seen has to do with technology.
Of course.
Yes. So when I started, and probably when you worked as well, for personal accountability, we would simply use a sheet of paper with a piece of carbon that would duplicate the names of the crew that were working that day.
I remember.
Well, I'm very happy to announce that soon, while we are currently testing a personal accountability system that will allow us to track every member on every fire ground electronically. So that's a big change. We are bringing on board a new computer-aided dispatch system for both police and fire. That's going to be a big change. And there's a lot of technology that's coming on. I actually just left a demonstration. Our fire marshal's office just acquired a robot that we can use in buildings that are unsafe to do investigations and things of that nature. So and technology has really moved us into the 21st century.
Awesome.
Yes.
And one question, I don't know if this is a legitimate question, and you'll understand why I say that when I ask. So were call boxes a thing when you were in the department in the 80s? Did people actually pull call boxes?
No. By the time I came on, call boxes were a thing of the past.
Okay.
They have taken them off the polls.
Okay.
Yes.
And that wasn't a dig at you, Commissioner. It truly, I was just interested in knowing. What advice would you give, or better pose, what advice would Commissioner Thompson give Firefighter Thompson?
That's a good question. I would say be a student of the game, and this firefighting changes rapidly. I would make sure I read all of the trade magazines. I would take classes. There are some great courses out there that help with professional development. I would make sure that I avail myself to every opportunity that came along. Even if you don't think that you are capable, take it on anyway.
Yes.
Grow into it. Just make sure that this career, being a professional firefighter, requires a professional dedication. So be dedicated. Be a student of the game.
That is probably the most perfect advice that and I'm just not, saying that because I think a lot of firefighters kind of stop with the professional development, believing that that's something that doesn't apply to them, but it absolutely does. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we will continue our discussion with Commissioner Thompson about what the future holds for the PFD and how you can get smoke alarms installed in your home for free. Stay with us. There's more from Freedom from Fire after this.
Hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Think buying fake products is harmless? Think again. Counterfeits are made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. Each year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products are sold in the U.S. I smell big crime. Think about it. If you don't know where the products came from, how could you know where the money goes? You're smart. Buy smart. Go for real.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
If you get a phone call, do not talk to the person.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
Just hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call the Senior Medicare Patrol.
If you suspect Medicare fraud, contact the Senior Medicare Patrol in your state.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out, or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use. Community members can be your eyes and ears when you're not with your kids and alert you to signs of potential problems.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Lieutenant Lisa Desamore. We have a very special guest for the first show of the season, Philadelphia Fire Commissioner Jeff Thompson. Commissioner, again, another huge thanks. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today. I want to mention, however, in a couple of weeks, it will be Fire Prevention Week. Unfortunately, this year we've had some fire fatalities, one too many, so we want to make sure everyone has working smoke alarms. Please call the city's 311 number if you are in need of a free smoke alarm. So, Commissioner, since you were sworn into office in June, what have been some of your main priorities?
So, one of the things I want to look at the Philadelphia Fire Department, I want to take a holistic approach. And what that means to me is I want to raise our professionalism a little bit. I want to increase the safety culture. I want us to be safe. And we are doing those things we are starting to employ targeted training. So when we have incidences on the fire ground, we are looking at those really closely and developing training that we can use to target that. Another thing that I want to do is to really address some of the mental health issues that first responders face. First responders face a lot of challenges. They see and do a lot of things that the average person will never see or do. And there was a time when we would go back to the kitchen table after a difficult fire, and we talk about it a little bit, but we would really never address the issues. So we have an employee assistance program that we employ. One of the things that I'm looking to do is to bring a clinician on board to really upgrade how we engage our members to make sure that the stressful work that we do, they can cope with some of the things that they do and see every day. So those are some of the main priorities for me.
Okay. And I love that you discuss mental health and really, putting a spotlight on that. Obviously, I couldn't agree with you more on that situation. I remember being a rookie at Engine 45, and it was a different time as far as, mental health is concerned. You would, as you said, sit around the kitchen table, kind of just have a quick little discussion of whatever the situation may have been and kind of moved it on from there. One thing I believe a lot of us recognize now is that healing, in terms of whatever that may be for any one individual, is not linear. Sometimes it can be something that may affect you initially, or it comes back later on down the line. And I think that's one of the things that people don't give enough recognition to. I think the expectation is that, if it didn't affect you in the moment, then you're good to go. And that's definitely not always the case. So I definitely thank you for that, Commissioner. What has been the biggest adjustment for you in this new position?
So for me, I go to a lot of different meetings that I never attended before.
Okay.
So my day is typically filled with meetings, all sorts of meetings. Fortunately, I have a great executive team that take care of a lot of the day-to-day things. While I'm out attending these meetings with the mayor, the managing director, different partnering agencies, I had the opportunity to travel to Dallas 2 weeks ago to meet with leaders in the fire service from all over the country. So I am dealing with the fire service at a whole different level. And so that's a big change for me.
Okay. Are there any future projects we're working toward that you may be able to elaborate on now?
Yes. So there are some things. Again, technology is huge for us. It has transformed our department. And we are continuing to explore ways that we can utilize technology. And we are in the very beginning stages of thinking about a firefighting robot. We're doing some research looking at it, and a firefighting robot is not going to replace firefighters anytime soon.
That was going to be my follow-up.
Not at all, but what it will do is give us added capability.
Okay.
And with the proliferation of EVs, and we all know how challenging electrical fires can be in EVs. And so we often think about some of the issues that we could face and think about an EV being in a parking garage. They're incredibly difficult to extinguish, and having our personnel exposed long-term to something like that can be a challenge. So having a firefighting robot for situations like that makes a lot of sense. Also, from the safety aspect, when we have structures that are not really safe, we can employ a firefighting robot. We're starting to see those again. When I was in my conference in Dallas, the Los Angeles Fire Department has one that they talked about quite a bit. So it's something that we would love to do. Okay. So we're thinking about that. We are thinking about high water rescue vehicles. We occasionally have flooding in the area. And these vehicles are designed to operate in flood type situations. Okay. That would help us tremendously. So we are continuing to look at technology and how it can help us serve the citizens of Philadelphia better.
Okay. And as you're speaking, I want to kind of revisit what you mentioned a few moments ago, meeting with fire service leaders in different parts of the nation, maybe even the world. Are there any significant differences, or like, wow, that's the same as Philly when you meet with these leaders?
Well, it's really interesting because we all have a lot of the same issues and problems, and the purpose of the meeting is to talk about it. And one department may handle it one way while we're doing it a different way, and we ultimately come up with best practices. But a lot of the problems are the same. One of the big things we spoke about was mental health, and it's something that fire departments all over the country are recognizing that they have to deal with. Okay. And so it was good to be there and talk about different ways that we can help our members right here in Philadelphia.
Okay. As far as you mentioned, of course, the technology aspect, would you say that this is something that the PFD is late with? And when I say late with, you mentioned how, Los Angeles has this robot. Are these technologies that we're adapting, is this something that's new in other parts of the U.S.? Is it something that we said, you know what, this works well here, let's get on board? Because a lot of times you hear members saying, well, we're operating in the dark ages, when are we going to get this?
Well, this emerging technology, it rolls out differently across the country. Okay. This country is very different. So I wouldn't say that we are late. Okay. But we share ideas across the fire service. So someone may be on the cutting edge in one category where we may not be thinking about it, but we often share technologies. So I think that the Philadelphia Fire Department is right on time.
Okay, I like that, and nothing could be more true. We currently have a firefighter class and an EMS class at the Fire Academy, and they will be graduating next month. What wisdom would you like to impart as they reach the finish line and then are assigned to their field assignments?
It's a great question. I remember when I was in that space, and I would love to let them know that when you graduate the academy, you are at the beginning of your career, and what you learn there is the tip of the iceberg. Pay attention to everyone around you, listen to everyone, because experience is everything on this job. And as I stated earlier, just be a student of the game. So be a sponge. Yes. Take in all of the information that you can get and just continue your professional development.
I agree. There was a time in the beginning of my career where they would say, listen to the old guys, and while I would say some of that, or that does, in a sense, stand true today, And I say it that way because what I've recognized and what a lot of us have recognized is that the department has become a lot younger. Yes. However, just because someone is younger doesn't necessarily mean there is nothing, that they have to contribute. We all are contributing factors, which is why I love that you say, be a sponge, seek out professional development. I think that is really important. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
I think that, again, the professional development piece is really vital and important. And like you said, we are a very young department, and we all have a lot to contribute. So just be willing to learn from everyone you encounter. I agree. As I mentioned earlier in reference to the smoke alarms, citizens can call 311 to get on the list for free smoke alarms. That's all the time we have today. To learn more about the PFD, including fire and life safety information and interest forms for jobs with us, visit phila.gov/fire. And if you would like to keep up with our show, Freedom from Fire, look for us on Verizon Channel 36, Comcast Channel 56, and LaSalle's TV YouTube page. Also, please, if you have the time, check out Fireman's Hall Museum located at 147 North 2nd Street and meet with our museum curator, firefighter Brian Anderson. Once again, I would like to thank Fire Commissioner Jeffrey Thompson, also known as Fire Commissioner Jeff Thompson, for being with us here today at Freedom from Fire. We'll be back next month. Remember, fire is everyone's fight, so please stay safe.